Hi, my name is Jan Crystal Gumayagay, and I will be presenting the effects of chronic stress in the respiratory system. What is the respiratory system? The respiratory system, which includes air passages, pulmonary vessels, the lungs, and breathing muscles, help the body in the exchange of gases between the air and blood, and between the blood and the body's billions of cells. Just to go over some terms you might already be familiar with. Inhaling is when we breathe in oxygen. Exhaling is when we breathe out carbon dioxide. And so, this exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide is called respiration, which is the act of breathing. Now let's talk about the organs and their functions. The respiratory system can be divided into the upper and lower respiratory tracts. The upper respiratory tract consists of the nose, nasal cavities, passages or sinuses, pharynx, tonsils, and larynx, while the lower respiratory system consists of trachea or windpipe, and lungs with its substructures bronchi, bronchioles, and alveoli. The nose is the only organ of the respiratory system that is visible externally. It acts as the passageway for air and is also a sensory organ. It warms and moistens air, and its hair-like processes, cilia, filter the air before it enters the lungs. The pharynx or throat also acts as a passageway for air and for food as well. The lowest portion of the pharynx connects to the esophagus or the food tube. The larynx or voice box is lined with mucous membrane. Two folds of membrane divide the larynx in two. Between these is the glottis, which is the narrowest part of the air passage. The larynx is attached to the trachea, also known as the windpipe. It's comprised of many different soft and hard tissues, which allows for the production of speech as well as breathing. The trachea diverges into the right and left bronchi. The bronchi are these C-shaped rings of cartilages which are lined with ciliated mucous membrane that sweeps out dust particles. The bronchi branches into secondary bronchi as they enter the lungs. These further divide into bronchioles, and as the secondary bronchi and bronchioles divide, the walls become thinner and more elastic, branching into minute alveoli, which transfer gases in the lungs. The lungs are the main organ of respiration. It consists of millions of alveoli and blood capillaries, which exchange oxygen and carbon dioxide. Lastly, the diaphragm is the main muscle of respiration, which is located at the base of the thoracic cavity. The muscle contracts and flattens so that the thorax and lungs have room for incoming air, which then causes us to inhale. It then relaxes, causing us to exhale. Let's talk about the respiratory system's connection to other systems. The respiratory system works directly with the circulatory system to provide oxygen to the body. The respiratory system cleans and gets oxygen from outside the body and then brings it to the lungs. Once in lungs, the circulatory system takes the oxygenated blood to the other parts of the body. The respiratory system also works with the digestive system. The digestive system is dependent upon the respiratory system because the digestive system functions by using muscular contractions to break up food and move it along the tract. Smooth muscle in the stomach turns food into a liquid, and contractions of the intestine move food through the system. And so these muscles depend upon oxygen in order to function. Without oxygen, the digestive system would stop working. Diseases and conditions of the respiratory system fall into two categories: infections such as influenza, bacterial pneumonia, and enterovirus respiratory virus, and chronic diseases such as asthma and chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. For most healthy individuals, the most common respiratory ailment they may face is an infection. A cough is often the first symptom, possibly accompanied by fever. In some cases, cough can be a sign of chronic respiratory conditions such as asthma or chronic bronchitis. In chronic lung disease, most respiratory diseases are present with shortness of breath, initially with exertion, such as walking a significant distance or climbing several flights of stairs. Asthma is a chronic inflammation of the lung airways, which causes coughing, wheezing, chest tightness, or shortness of breath. It is a condition in which a person's airways become inflamed, narrow, and swell, and produce extra mucus, which makes it difficult to breathe. These signs and symptoms may even be worse when a person is exposed to their triggers, which can include air pollution, tobacco smoke, infections, pollens, foods, cold air, exercise, chemical, and medications. According to the CDC, more than 25 million people, or 1 in 13 adults, and 1 in 12 children in the United States have asthma. As you can see here in the image, the production of mucus traps or makes the airway narrow, which makes it harder to breathe for those people with asthma. Let's talk about how stress affects the respiratory system. Stress can make you breathe harder, and because of that, it can worsen the symptoms of asthma and chronic lung diseases such as chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, or COPD, and chronic bronchitis. In addition, stress can lead to hyperventilation or rapid breathing and panic attacks in individuals prone to panic attacks. During the stress response, you breathe faster in an effort to quickly distribute oxygen-rich blood to your body. Strong emotions are also known to trigger asthma. There is evidence of a link between asthma, anxiety, depression, though the outcomes are sometimes not consistent. Anxiety and depression may be associated with poor asthma control. Here is a close-up image of the lungs, which consist of millions of these little sacs called alveoli. Although tiny, the alveoli are the center of our respiratory system's gas exchange. The alveoli pick up the incoming energy, which is oxygen, we breathe in, and release the outgoing waste product, which is carbon dioxide, which we exhale. You can see the process by looking at this image right here. Oxygen pumps in, carbon dioxide goes out. As it moves through blood vessels, capillaries, and the alveoli walls, the blood takes the oxygen from the alveoli and gives off carbon dioxide to the alveoli. Most of the organs of the respiratory system help to distribute air, but only the tiny grape-like alveoli and the alveoli ducts are responsible for actual gas exchange. These are my references. Thanks for listening.